Hello, this is Max, or the Technomancer, here doing the Crossroads playtesting, and I've decided we're going to start a new world today, because I have now applied my next set of updates. I've made a lot of changes now to heat, how heat works, and that's very early game. So to test early game stuff, I should start a new world. Now, we are going to eventually progress through to Technomancy again. Right, we never finished the series on playtesting through the Technomancy stuff, but I'm fairly confident that the stuff we didn't test in that series is working fairly well, because I tested it fairly thoroughly off camera. And we're going to be doing this single player instead of hosting a server with just me on it, because the stuff I've changed for this has nothing to do with multiplayer versus single player. So it shouldn't break on multiplayer if it works on client at all, and it's just less laggy to do things pure single player, because I would host the server on my computer at the same time, so it's just better to do this. So 1.12 play testing. At this point, when I'm recording this, the Technomancy update is live. What I'm calling the heat update is not. I'm just going to turn on bonus chest just to speed things up a bit. So if we just generate the world. So I want to test the heat update, make sure I like it before I go releasing it, because it for one thing, it's world breaking. Well, not, oh yeah, I haven't actually done like much in the way of, oh yeah, I've also updated the mod to 1.12, that is released as well, but I haven't done much of any playing in 1.12. So I have to get rid of these stupid tutorials. I'm gonna have to go through all these stupid tutorials that are supposed to only happen once, but seem to keep happening to me because I keep reinstalling the game for different mods and such, and going across different installs, and so I keep having to go through these annoying tutorials. Only happens once, my foot. It would be nice if they if it somehow tracked your account and said, okay, this account can only go through the tutorials once instead of having it stored on my computer, which I think is what's happened. Take some. Ooh, salmon. I didn't know salmon could be in bonus chests. Is that new? That might be new. Oh yes, this annoying new crafting guide, which I have not done anything with. I'm guessing I'm gonna like JEI more than that, so I still install JEI anyways, because I trust JEI more than I trust any vanilla crafting guide, which is on its first iteration. Yeah. So what did I change in heat? Basically everything. As I talked about during the Technomancy playtesting, there was something really fundamental about heat I really didn't like, which was that it was sort of guess and check. It's possible to do all the calculations for a heat system before you build it and say, will this overheat, will this not overheat? Except for the fact that due to the mechanics and the way I implemented it, to actually solve it properly would require A, calculus, and B, a lot of calculus. And I've never actually done those equations because I took one look at the problem and I said, nope. Right? At first I was going to have, heat system be, the calculations would be complicated enough, but the concepts would, that the heat system's original plan when I first made it was, okay, the calculations are complicated enough that no one will do them, but the concepts will be simple enough that no one will need to do them, which happened with heat, the rules of things average and the rate heat moves based on being based on the temperature difference is pretty simple to state, but pretty hard mathematically to calculate, and I very much regret that, because that decision, because it means that it's really a pain to make a heat system that won't melt, because you have to basically guesstimate, I'll even say, how many heat exchangers do I need, what sort of cable do I need, how much heat production do I need, will this melt, will this work? And you ended up keep having to rebuilding your system because it melted, not because you did a bad job, but because you guessed wrong, and there was no way around guessing. So I've redesigned the heat system to be less realistic, but better gameplay-wise, because real heat works very similarly to how the Crossroads version worked originally. Well, when I say very similarly, very is an overstatement. I mean, Crossroads doesn't have any concept of heat capacity and so on, and I sort of pulled the heat transfer rates out of a hat. I mean, yeah. Okay, so it had similarities and differences. But right, the real heat is very complicated to calculate fully. But I've decided, okay, this does not make for great gameplay, so I'm going to rewrite it so that no longer is the speed heat transfers, so no longer is the rate of heat loss based on temperature differences, no longer is everything so linearly scaled. The main thing I've changed is if we take a look at a heat cable. Okay, I've changed several things. For one thing, there's only one type of conductor now, and that's copper. There's no like iron cables or whatever. But if you look, it used to be loss was just a number. Now it actually says degrees C per tick. And that's because instead of saying, okay, lose a certain percentage of heat that's the certain percentage of the temperature that's different from the ambient, just say, if you're not at ambient temperature with this cable, lose 0.2 degrees C every tick. And that's less realistic, but much easier to calculate. Much, much easier. No calculus required anymore. None. Simple algebra will do everything now. So now it's quite easy to calculate everything by hand. You don't even really need a calculator. I've changed other things like that. So, oh, there's a bug. Oh, look at that. See, I found my first bug, and I know exactly what causes that one. See where the degree symbol's supposed to be? There's a question mark. I forgot to change the file type. Okay, I'll fix that later. It's minor. It's just a little typographical thing. Okay, so also I added tooltips to a ton of stuff to make it more helpful. Like I did things like I made the heat exchanger. It also has a constant loss rate that's rather high, but it's constant. So, and machines that use heat, almost all of them are changed. Not all of them. A few I left the same because they sort of work how I want them to work to be the correct sort of challenge, and we'll sort of explore those in more depth when we get to them. I am rambling the day away. Most machines, like the heating crucible, the heating chamber, and so on, now they'll use heat whether they're working or not, but only if they're above a certain temperature. So instead of it being, okay, use heat only while actually doing a process, and you can only process above this temperature, now it's, you can only process above your this temperature, and if you're above this temperature, use this constant amount of heat each tick, whether you're actually working or not. And there is a reason I did this, to simplify things. So now the heat system has on paper is no longer a guess and check, well, have I got enough? It's a lot of averaging and so on. It's more make sure, in order to make sure your system doesn't overheat, make it so that you're generating more heat than you're losing. And you can very easily check that just by like adding up the losses of all your cables and your heat exchangers and such. It's just simple arithmetic and algebra. Maybe just arithmetic, maybe not even algebra, right? Make sure you're generating more heat than you lose from all your cables and exchangers. That will cause the temperature to rise. But make sure that if the machines were running and consuming heat, you would be generating less heat than you're consuming. What that would basically do is it would mean that if you're below the operating temperature of your machines, the temperature of your system is going to rise, and once you hit the temperature the machines need to run, then your temperature will about stay there, and it's like its own safety net, and it won't ever overheat. And then there are a few machines that are not so friendly and will only operate while running or something like that. Let's see, like the fat collector only uses heat while it's actually running, because that's meant to be a challenge about regulating the temperature very, very precisely, using an automated setup that actually like measures the temperature and stuff. So I've left that the same. I've left the fluid cooling chamber the same because that's more something where I've left the things where you need to keep them cold the same. I've left the fluid cooling chamber and the salt reactor the same because cold things don't, as a rule, overheat. If that makes sense, I would hope so. I am bad at explaining things. It's hopefully a lot more clear in the documentation in the book. And also, hopefully it'll make more sense once I actually start getting to those machines. At this point, it's probably sounding like a load of rambly gibberish, which wouldn't surprise me. Sun setting, because I was wasting so much time. So let us get in this hole in the ground. Didn't find coal or iron. That's something of a shame. Let's just start out on this layer here. And I should probably install that lovely invention, which I don't know if you've heard of it. It's rather new. It's called a door. It's very, very new. Only invented in the last century or so, you know, those things. It's very modern. Sorry. But yeah, basically I've done a whole heat rewrite. That's the main purpose of this update. And I think it'll be a lot nicer to use, a lot more user-friendly, a lot less guessing and checking, and a lot more, I know this is going to work with it before I've even built it, so now I'll build it. And I won't have to keep replacing cables because I know this is going to work. There's no guesstimating involved. It's just, this is going to work, and this won't work. Alright. It's raw salmon. Why couldn't it have been a normal fish? I prefer normal fish. Partially because they restore more food, but also because I don't know why they added salmon. I don't know why. Don't understand. Don't understand why you added. Bleh. I mean, I'll still keep you to eat, but... Trying to remember now what they added to 1.12. I honestly can't really remember because I haven't used it that much. Let's see, 1.12 is the World of Color update, so besides the crafting guide, they added... What did they add? Parrots. They changed the coloring of wool, and some people really hated that, I remember. I haven't decided yet. I don't really build with the wool ever. Colored beds. What else did they add? I already mentioned parrots, I think. There was something... Oh yeah, they switched over to advancements in JSON recipes, which is quite an annoyance for me. I'm not actually using JSON recipes. I know that it would be better coding style. I mean, it would be better style to use JSON recipes. But honestly, I wanted the 1.12 update to take less than a year. So... The recipes are still hard-coded, and maybe I will fix that one day, when I can be bothered. But that day is not today. People can just use Mindtweaker anyways if they really care about changing the recipes. What else was there? There's something else that... yeah, terracotta. That's it. They added the glazed terracotta, which looks weird, and the regular terracotta, which is like hardened clay, but a slightly different color tone. Oh, and concrete powder, they added that too. This is just one way. I've got to wait for the night to end, so I'm just spending it like trying to remember everything they added in 1.12. They probably added some other stuff, probably minor stuff. The entirety of the 1.12 update seems like minor stuff except for JSON recipes in this thing, which I'm never going to use because I always have JEI installed. I think that was it. Oh, there was something I wanted to mention. I think I may have wall rambling earlier. I may have mentioned something about... I may have mentioned something about how this update may break previous worlds. Keyword there is may. I'm not sure. It's sort of interesting. I've like tried bringing forward several old worlds, some of which I hadn't loaded up since like 1.8. right? And it broke some of them, and some of them worked fine. There are certain things I'm certain of. Any heat cables that aren't copper conductors will disappear from your world. That I'm certain of. They're not going to be replaced by copper conducting heat cables, they'll just disappear. But other than that, I'm not really certain what is actually going to break. Like, some worlds, I load them up, and then, like, those really rare, those bugs that happen occasionally that are really rare and really, really infuriating, where if you load up an old world or change the mods in a world, very rarely all the IDs will get messed up and everything will be made of the wrong material. So your trees will be made out of beds and your wool will be made out of netherrack and your machines will be made out of different mods machines and all that stuff. Some of that happened. In a couple of the worlds I ported over, a couple of the blocks turned to terracotta. Almost everything stayed the same, but certain Crossroads blocks turned to terracotta, and I'm not sure which ones they were, and I'm not really sure why. I think it's because I think the Minecraft block IDs are hard-coded, and the mod ones are not. They're allowed to change. But once a world is created, the block IDs are set in stone. So I think what happened is that in a previous version, some Crossroads blocks got assigned some block IDs that now in 1.12 are taken by terracotta or something like that. So all the Crossroads blocks turned into all those blocks turned into terracotta, but in the future, all that block in that world of the Crossroads block in that world would get a new ID that works fine. Something like that. I'm not certain. I may be completely wrong, but I think that's what happened. Honestly, not sure. Okay, I'm just gonna do time set day here. What is the point of me sitting there waiting? So basically, bottom line there is, you will probably be able to bring an old world forward. Probably with this update. Make a backup first. Also, all of your heat cables that are not copper conductors will disappear. That's basically the bottom line. Like, some of the worlds I brought over, it worked, some it did not. And I'm not really certain what the discerning trait there was that changed whether it would work or not. Yeah, spiders. Okay. I'm gonna get this pop-up in the top right every time I pick up a new item, aren't I? Oh yes, this new feature isn't annoying at all. Is there a way to turn it off? Probably not, honestly. There probably isn't. Yeah, there's this. No, there's almost certainly no way to turn it off. Yeah, also there's this. Oh, I see. That's supposed to be a spoof of birds and the bees. Okay. Wait, what do you mean watch it grow? Do you have to actually stand there and watch the plant? Okay, I'm just looking at the new advancements because I haven't actually looked through these yet. Okay. I'm not sure what I'm looking for, honestly. A mesa be a favorite. Don't think have I ever set up a base in a mesa? I don't think so. I would like to find a mesa. It's unlikely I'll find a mesa, but it would be nice, simply because gold. Hello, donkey. There we go, some leather. Oh, it's not far, of course. It's crucial that I obtain these things. That is, it's amazing that tree has lived that long. I mean, growing with lava next to it. You know, World Gen makes quite a few mistakes. That tree should not be alive at World Gen. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna find a maze. I'll make the first episode be 30 minutes, just of the new world, just because that's what I usually do. Make the first episode longer. Do I want to explore the desert at all? Do I have any reason to? I suppose I could look in the cave, maybe see if I can find one of those fancy new-ish underground skeletons. Where are they at? They were 1.11, I think. Haven't found one of those ever either. Oh, good coal. Very good. I needed coal. Apparently my Christmas stash didn't carry over to this world. That's just a little joke. Okay. There we go. Iron as well. Very good. All the basic materials. Well, not all of them. I've only got one torch. I'm gonna craft more. You know what? I am currently in the process of making the mistake that I make basically every world. I am going mining before obtaining a food source. This is a mistake I always make, and then I starve to death. Okay, let me finish this ore vein, and then I'm gonna head back home, and I am going to secure a food source so that I don't starve to death. I do this every time I make a new world. I forget to get a food source first. It's very important to have food. I mean, I've tried, you know, eating my diamonds and iron, but it doesn't work. It's not edible. It's just, I mean, you would have thought that you would be able to eat coal. I mean, it is organic after all. And everything that's organic is good for you, right? Or at least that's what the people who market things to supermarkets want you to believe. Yes, that's the fun thing. Many things are organic that are absolutely not edible. And so it makes me laugh a little bit every time you see one of those labels that said, made with organic ingredients. And like, oi. I mean, plastic is organic. It really is, actually, believe it or not. Plastic is organic. By the scientific definition, plastic is organic because it's made from oil, and oil came from plants about 1 million years ago, and therefore, plastic is organic. Even the toxic types. Alright. So what sort of food source should we set up then? Should we do an animal farm, a wheat farm? Well, I guess an animal farm will need a wheat farm because there's no pigs around, so we're not doing carrot-based. So I guess a wheat farm would be a good thing to start with. I don't actually know which way home is. I think it's this general direction, but I'm not sure. I built a little cobblestone like thing on top, which will be very helpful, I'm certain. Oh, there it is. I see it just there in the distance. Just get some seeds on the way. And then I'll probably, this episode, you know, I'll set up a little farm, and then between episodes I'll do some mining and stuff, and the next episode we'll probably get started on proper Crossroads things. Probably, after this episode, I'm probably going to do most of the vanilla stuff off camera. Because this isn't so much a let's play as a play testing. A let's play test. Sure. Why not? I think I passed my my entrance. No? Okay. Did I not? Oh, there it is. We built a little pillar on top. Oh, and of course, to mark it as mine, I'm just gonna do this. There we go. This will differentiate from any other cobblestone pillars with a door in them that might be found. Just to, if you know, this one is definitely mine. So if I see a cobblestone pillar with a door in it, and it does not have a sunflower on top, then it's not mine. It's someone else's. Probably belongs to Herobrine. Oh, I wanted it to die. I like killing horses and donkeys. Even though they don't give any meat. I just enjoy the sounds they make. I am a very lovely person, aren't I? I just love the sounds horses make when they die. Right. But this won't do for a farm. It's all sandy. It's no good. Need dirt. Also, I'll take this. Why did I get the boat recipe from picking up sugarcane? Or was it that I stepped in water? Really? They made it trigger on stepping in water? Just what I'm guessing it is, not the sugarcane? I mean, I guess it makes sense, but... Lighting glitches. Always lighting glitch. Okay, here we go. Here is a decent spot to set up a farm. It's not too far away. It's kind of far away. Oh, okay, here we go. It's a little bit that's closer. Okay. There's no animals around, which... Well, there's those. There's no edible animals around, so I'm not going to bother building a fence right now, because they're not going to trample my crops. Because there's no animal... I mean, a zombie might trample my crops. I mean, zombies, they are terrible people, and they are exactly the sort of person who would not only trample your crops, but laugh while doing it. Oh yes, they are terrible. Maybe I should actually build a fence so that the zombies don't get the pleasure of trampling my crops and laughing at the same time. Yeah, that's exactly what I'll do. This isn't to protect my crops, this is to foil those zombies' plans of laughing at me. Definitely. Okay, so... And it's getting dark. Lovely. Just build a quick fence. Foil those evil zombies' plan to laugh at me. Because obviously they can't laugh if they don't trample my crops. Obviously. Of course. And, yeah, just a little torch. Of course, they are able to swim. So, no swimming for them. No swimming around to get at my crops. None of that. And then just a fence gate. And before I forget, I actually need to plant my seeds. That's fairly important. I'm just looking at these advancements. Didn't see when to plant the crops. Button. No, not that button. I didn't see when to plant the seed. Oh, wait. What do you mean watch it? I didn't watch any of them grow, though. I mean, that one grew a little bit. Is it just to plant the seed, then? I guess, maybe. Let's enjoy our salmon. There we go. And I suppose I'll end the episode there, so goodbye.